In Cartels and Competition, students play the roles of company executives in an industry where just a few companies do 98% of the business worldwide. In economics, we call this an oligopoly. In each round of production, they will be deciding how much to produce, and along the way, they'll discover that their profitability is dependent not only on their own production decisions, but on the decisions of other companies as well. They'll experience the interdependent and strategic decision-making that is characteristic of these types of markets. They will also see the role that profits play as incentives, and ultimately the impact of competition on the market outcome. To prepare for this activity, you'll need visuals of the demand forecast as well as 2 variations of the actual market demand. You'll also need 1 copy of the production decision worksheet for each student, 6 balance sheets, and 36 production decision cards. Begin the activity by dividing students into exactly 6 companies. For larger or smaller classes, put more or fewer students in each group, but do not change the number of companies. Make sure every student has a copy of the production decision worksheet, and then take time to go through the sample problems together. You are 6 companies. You've been formed into 6 companies. These 6 companies represent 98% of the business in this industry, okay? Point out that while they make their own production decisions, the total market supply is determined by the production decisions of all 6 producers combined. So while they can use the demand forecast provided by you to predict demand, they'll have to make their own prediction about market supply. What you don't necessarily know is the demand for your product and the consumption, and that will be given to you, and I'll share a forecast with you. We're just going to say that you're producers of oil, okay? If you're producers of oil and the price is $125 a barrel, you can see that the market demand is going to be somewhat low at that high price, in between 0 and 6. Really, this could be oil, this could be anything. This could be thingamajigs, right? At a price of $20, though, when the price is really low, you can see that the quantity demanded is very high. And so this is in correspondence with what we've learned about the law of demand, that at higher prices, quantity demanded is low, and at lower prices, the quantity demanded is greater. Okay, any questions about that? I will share this demand forecast with you in between the rounds as you're making your production decision, so you can refer to this demand forecast. Go ahead and look at your production decision worksheets, and let's practice here. Where do prices come from? Supply and demand. So prices come from supply and demand. I just shared a forecast of the demand, and where does the supply come from? You 6 companies right here. Okay? You will have to make your own forecast or prediction about the market supply. For example, if you produce 1 unit, and so does every other firm in this room, what would be the total market supply in this room? 6, okay? Now going back to our demand forecast, if only 6 are produced, what market equilibrium price would we see if the supply is 6? Where would that intersect our demand? $125. So you'd be able to sell each of your thingamajigs or barrels of oil for $125. Now, what else do you have to know as a producer when you're calculating your profit?
The cost of your product.
The cost of what the cost of production is. So if your cost of production in this example, your cost of production is $25, what would your profit be on each of those units that you get to sell? $100. So let's try the following problem. Suppose your company produces 3 units, and the total market supply is 19 units. Okay, look up here to see where that would intersect the demand and at what equilibrium price we would end up with. $75. Okay, so the cost of production multiplied by the number of units you produce is going to give us our total cost. How many did you produce? 3. You produced 3, and if the cost of production is $25, what's your total cost of production? 75. Now let's figure out our total revenue. You produce 3, and you get to sell all that you produce. So if you sell 3, and your revenue is $75 a piece, what's your total revenue? $225. Now take your total revenue to $225 and subtract your cost. Your cost was $75. What's your profit? $150. Okay, everybody got that? Try the sample number 5, the example on your own, and when your team thinks that you have the right answer for number 5, raise your hand and I'll come check your math. Give groups time to work on the last practice problems together, and then you can go around and check for understanding. Do not skip this step. Taking time in the beginning to make sure the students are comfortable with the math will save you time and prevent confusion later on in the activity. Their goal is to make a profit. Announce that any team that makes over $300 profit will get a prize, and the team with the most profit will get the biggest prize. So, candy prizes for all companies that earn more than $300, that's for everybody. Cash prize for the company that earns the most profit, all right? Begin round one by announcing that students have a couple minutes to make their production decisions. Point out that they must pay their production costs up front, so they can only produce what their beginning balance allows. I want you to notice on your balance sheets that you have a balance to begin with. And what is your balance? $150. And that balance is what you're going to use to pay your production costs up front. You have to pay your production costs up front. What does it cost you to produce one unit? $30. So that tells you you can only produce so many to begin with because you only have $150. With that, we're going to go ahead and start production round one. And all that you have to do for a production round is fill out your production decision card. There's a place on there where you will write your team number and a place where you write how much you're going to produce. Collect their decision cards, total them up, and announce the market supply. Okay, I have here the production decisions from all the groups, and in no particular order, let's figure out our total production. We have 4 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 6 plus 1. Our total is 26. Choose a market demand to display and help them see where their market supply intersects the demand curve and what the market price is as a result. With a quantity demanded of 26, what is our price? $50. And because it's set, we'll imagine a supply curve here at a quantity of 26, which would be right here, and you can see that that intersects our demand curve at $50. Okay? So go ahead and calculate your profit. Allow them time to calculate their balances. Be sensitive to the needs of your class. If there still seems to be a little confusion, conduct one more round just like the first. Otherwise, begin round two by announcing a trade convention, where industry leaders and executives get together to talk about and give awards for new technology and the innovations in the industry. And it's quite a trip. It's quite a treat to get to go on one of these trade conventions. So decide who you're going to send from your group, and you're going to line up, and the flight is boarding over there at that door for the trade convention, which is happening in Hawaii this year, okay? In Hawaii. Invite each company to send one member to the convention.
Trade convention. Come on down. Come on down. Right here. Right here. Luxury suite right here.
Once they're out of the room, resist the urge to say anything or prompt the students. It won't take long for at least one person to point out that they can all make more money if they produce less.
No. We gotta stick to that. We'll make more profit. Because if we only buy one.
As soon as the discussion is heading in that direction, just sit back and watch as they try to agree to restrict output. It's important that the discussion is their own. Give them a 2-minute warning to hurry them along, and then send them back into the room to meet with their companies and make their production decisions for round two. Once in the room, remind them that there should be no communication between the companies in the classroom.
Hey, you guys have to make your decision. Thank you.
So let's
Okay, will you go ahead and have your decision?
Yeah, because if we do 2, it'll be 12.
Okay, thank you.
Once again, you'll collect their production decision cards and randomly announce the production amounts and determine market supply. We have 3 plus 6 plus 7 plus 4 plus 2 plus 8. For a total of 30. And let's see what our market demand is this time. At a quantity of 30, it appears that once again, we only get $30 revenue for each of those items that you sell. What's going on here? Do you guys understand the incentive is to make a profit? Length of this game will depend on your class. Play the game long enough for the groups to see the benefits of collusion, and then continue to play just until those collusive agreements break down. As soon as that happens, stop the game. You've met your objective. For many classes, 3 rounds will do it.
Okay, seriously, we really need to make a profit. If we all do 2, we should all get the same amount.
We still
of money.
can't. No, we don't have enough to hit $300 profit because nobody else has more than $100 profit yet.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, we do.
No, you don't.
No matter what, I am doing 10.
If we all do 3, we'll still make 100. No, listen.
We have to make
Okay,
$200,
that's
not
right.
1 round. We can't.
If we make all 2, if we make 2 each, that's $60. 250 minus 60 is 190 plus 200.
All 2. So good to see you.
Welcome back. Everybody, every group has their new production decision card. You have 1 minute to make your decisions and turn those in.
All we need is 2 people to not go inside.
Market demand.
All right.
Then we're gonna end up losing.
I want him.
From market supply, we have 2, plus 3, plus 4, plus 3, plus 2, plus 7, for a total of 21. Okay, here's our market demand. At 21, our market price is $50. $50. Find out if there are any teams with profits over $300 and reward them accordingly. Don't forget to have them subtract out their beginning balance. Don't be surprised if you often don't have any teams that reach $300. That's to be expected, and it's good for the teacher pocketbook too. Here are a couple tips that will help you facilitate this activity. When announcing the production decisions, keep them anonymous. You also may want to have different students attend subsequent trade conventions. Both of these things will make it harder for them to enforce their collusive agreements. Also beware, student emotions tend to run high with this activity. The discussion during the debriefing may get heated as they throw around words like cheater or liar. Assure them that they are simply responding predictably to the incentives you designed. It's also good to ask them how they would feel about what just happened if they were consumers in this market. Here's the consumer, and I'm thinking, I like these guys. They're selling more, and they're giving me, the consumer, a lower price, and you guys are calling them dirty names? Yeah. You're calling them cheaters and backstabbers because they're putting more product out in the market and it's coming to me at a lower price? Consumers were hurt when they restricted output because they got less and they had to pay higher prices. Consumers benefited when the companies cheated on the collusive agreements and produced more. The big lesson of this activity is that profit is a powerful incentive. It motivated the producers to collude and restrict output. But that same incentive of profit is exactly what caused those collusive agreements to break down. I like to tell my students, profit is the motivator, competition is the regulator. Competition. Profit was the motivator. It even motivated you to collude with each other. What protected me, the consumer, from that happening? Competition. Profit is the motivator, competition is the regulator. It keeps the marketplace. That competition is what keeps the prices low and the output high. Competition is a good thing, right? Do we want companies to collude? No. And competition regulates and keeps companies from doing that.